I'll give you a little window going into this and my behind-the-scenes ideas for how to, in part, make this celebratory experience of Ad Infinitum that much more momentous. Yes, I did color coordinate appropriately with Chapter 3 to give us, the entire album, I guess, now that you're looking at the video and me considering it, is very much color coordinated. But the Serpent's Downfall, I love that name as a track. I think it's going to be quite compelling. I picked the right necklace. I mean, I got a good selection of jewelry, but hey, I was like, this fits the Egyptian theme better than, hey, I like my cross and I like my, whatever it is, my standalone chain, my American Eagle sort of one. I love this necklace, but I don't know. It's like the snake fit. Let's go with that for an Egyptian mood, because that's what Chapter 3 is evoking, as every album of Ad Infinitum has. It has a conceptual vision in terms of dating back into history, and though in many cases, when I consult these as first impression listens, I'm having to reach a bit back to my elementary school days in regards to my tutelage, or perhaps in some of our exposures with their work, take it as a learning opportunity. I have a general, reminiscence of the Egyptian scene. I feel that this certainly works up the mood in part and amplifies the strength of Ad Infinitum's pieces in their exposure for me. And it's been a wonderful treat to entertain their works tonight on this channel. As I've been saying, this is the 5th track in consideration of 8, an 8-long experience we're taking. Well, today and tomorrow in consideration at least one of the pieces that's debuting a little later. It's part of a continuation of a party I've been hosting, as I promised you I would when Ceph released, and I covered it with Ad Infinitum Chapter 3. I told you I don't tend to do this very often. A full album exposure was coming on this channel. I've had a great time with Ad Infinitum since I first got exposed to them in December with Chapter 1. I started at the beginning, picked a couple selections of tracks. Chapter 2 continued on, picked another good selection. Chapter 3, I did the same with the single releases, and I have just had a wonderful time engaging with a top-tier metal talent, in my opinion, from the European rock scene. Some of you might be approaching this video not knowing the name of Ad Infinitum yet. Maybe you haven't broached the European metal scene. If so, I highly recommend it. You will not want to leave once you do. Though I cover a broad selection in geography as well as name talent. I cover emerging artists all the time, from those I can find and those I've consulted. I've got a wide list of considerations that have been evolving over the past couple of months that I'll probably get to eventually, God willing. And more mainstream names. And I cover a wide range, and that's what I wanted to do. It's been a long aspiration of mine to bring music into a grander focus on this channel in conjunction to other entertainment ventures. I have more of a mainstay here, especially in this channel's foundation, right? Music for me, though, it's been a continual aspiration. First love in my life for many years. And the experience of music consumption for me, as a devoted music connoisseur, I highly respect the journey. I just can't get enough of it. And for new talents like Ad Infinitum, at least at the time of when I started covering them, and I took it on faith, right? I've said many times in the beginning with my story in approaching this group, it was through, though the group is talented generally, I mean, I love all these artists that are part of this entity that is Ad Infinitum. Melissa Bonney was the entrance point through the Mortemia collaboration, Devastation Bound, and if you've not heard that piece, highly recommend it. High caliber work in the symphonic metal scene. It is such a dominant piece, and really anything from Mortemia is. One-man Norwegian Gothic symphonic metal artist, if you're not familiar, Morten Veland, he runs that. Harold's from Sirenia, who's exquisite too. I started consulting them on this channel. I'm still working my way through a couple of their pieces, but they are so good. Everything really along with symphonic metal lines it's my preferred metal facet, quite frankly, as a devoted metalhead of many years. But it was after that collaboration, I'm like, you know what, Ad Infinitum, I gotta hear it, and I have not been disappointed at all, especially with Chapter 3. It's been exquisite listen all around thus far. Every track has been just dominantly beautiful and passionate, and I'm sure the journey will continue, and we'll all have a great time celebrating the arrival tonight of Chapter 3 together. It's been a wonderful party, right? And I hope for some of you, I know many of you approaching this are going to be longtime Infinitors, and we're celebrating together again from a mutual familiarity of this group, though perhaps, again, like I've said many times, we differ in year tenure. Many of you advance me in regards to your seniority. I'm still in my burgeoning Infinitor phase, but, well, the time I've spent with them, maybe I've exceeded that tier. I don't know. Maybe. Now I'm an intermediate Infinitor. I don't know. Do we have tiers? Maybe by the Patreon structure, yes. And I am, for those of you who have asked, I am working my way to join in your community over there. It's going to take some time. I'm working on it, though. It's on my mind constantly to join. But for some of you, I imagine this is going to be a first exposure, or there's a possibility for that. Take it from me on recommendation. Go listen to their entire body of work. I'm sure you'll want to after consulting The Serpent's Downfall with me. I can't wait to hear this piece. I really can't. I love the name of it already. I think it's going to be a strong listen. You'll thank me when you hear their work. You're going to love Ad Infinitum. Just trust me. And you'll probably see for yourself if you are in that position with The Serpent's Downfall. I've got the song queued up. I'm going to go ahead and let it play. And for those of you who are not familiarized with my work, and maybe my channel generally is the first introduction for you, I try and accommodate listener taste to the best of my ability, and that mostly consists of offering complete takes to the best extent that I can. So if you're somebody that likes to read along with the narrative of the piece through the lyrical construction, I will have those provided for you in the video feed. And as we go through the song, the lyrics will transition along with it. So you won't have to go pull up a separate tab or anything. That resource is available to you. Okay, here we go, The Serpent's Downfall. Or if you just wish to enjoy the piece, sit back and enjoy with me. I like that rhythm. Good entrance thus far. I like that entrance way, like that shrilly. Nice string integration. That menace, just a beautiful presence, and so far now we've just exploded. You can feel nice subtlety. Nice swing to it too. Lovely. Nice independence on the riff work. Again, that swing vibe is really cool. It's a background orchestral operatic sounds. I love that. Definitely evoking the Egyptian feeling. And the ancient energy too. It's something with such personality. I like it. Yeah, this piece has a great beat to it. I like that blend in the vocal work, especially on that last word, downfall, works so well. And the uneven placement of it too. Fabulous feed. It's interesting for a song that has more of like a menace feeling with the title, and to have such hopeful imagery in the lines. There's a dying sun you can ignite. Very inspirational. Love it. Oh, great pacing on that. Beautiful pauses too. I mean, again, the placement on their songs, I find that works really well in their favor. I mean, again, like, in my opinion, they know where to take ideal guitar, riff breaks, breakdowns. It's always effective placement. Great shift for the last iteration of the chorus. Love that. One last time. God, perfect rhythm on that. Great drive to that piece. I love the mapping of it so much. Very engaging swing beat, in my opinion. Again, there's that natural vibration, just a steady flow to it. Man, I love it. I love this album so much. I mean, again, I've loved everything I've heard of Ad Infinitum, and this album really does feel like... I remember reading this somewhere, I think it was probably on their Instagram feed, on one of their posts. I couldn't tell you which one it was. But that this album... that they feel like, and I would argue they've sort of had an idea that they've materialized very well since the origination of their work. Since I Am the Storm, really. As I understand, that was the first launching tune of Ad Infinitum's career, and that's what established the vision of Chapter 1. And I've said many times, there's artists I come across, even just years in reflection of many of the smaller talents I know by name that, again, may be unfamiliarized to some, but I regard their names quite often as established artists, or established artists, but to establish their name better in people's minds because they truly are competent. But I give them the regard of, in my exposure, I think back to their origin years, and they had this clarity of identity that they've carried with them since. It's not like maybe there's a group, that's starting out, right? It sounds like they're trying to find themselves. And while there's some strength, I'm not trying to be in any way like dissing or condescending to any group that I put in this regard. It's different again across the board. Some groups come along in their arrival and debut, and you reflect on where they are, maybe let's say 4 or 5 albums down the line, and you realize just how unified their vision is all the way through. And maybe there is some exploration and some fine tuning, yes, of course, but there's a clear sense of identity in the beginning, right? That you feel for the entirety of your journey, it's been consistent in heightened execution of craft. Let's say, for example, by comparison, just to give an idea here, Icon for Hire. That's long-time regard in this particular category of what I've stated on this channel. Not familiar with their name. They're American alternative, hip-hop, rap, punk, metal, punk rock. I mean, they're a broad mix, but I've been with them since, I couldn't tell you what year it was. Scripted, the first ever album, and they are now 5 albums down the line, the latest of which is The Reckoning, which I consulted also in its entirety on this channel, because again, I've been a fan of them since they began. Well, a little after the first EP, but ever since Scripted, the first album. And I think back to when they started quite often. I listen to them regularly on shuffle mode, and I'm like, because I got all their songs on my phone, and I constantly just put myself again back in that state of mind where I'm like, since Scripted, they've been so strong in their evolution, and to watch them go forward, yes, again, like I said, fine-tuning, experimentation, of course, broadening a bit in artistic talents and capabilities, but still, there's this clear identity from the beginning. I feel the same regard is true of Ad Infinitum, Since I Am the Storm, in terms of being a dominant symphonic metal presence, I really feel that they've just... I say this in larger regard. I understand I'm so good at going on tangents here, but I am promising I'm working my way back here to my original statement and intention of bringing this point up. I saw on Instagram again, I couldn't tell you where it was, but some conversation on this album has produced the clearest execution of identity for what Ad Infinitum has characterized themselves as thus far. And I would argue that since Chapter 1 for me, and again, I know I'm coming to them I'm approaching this under a year of being an avid listener, right? Just by a few months. Near 4 to 5, somewhere around there, I think, at least at this moment. Or maybe 3 to 4, it's somewhere in that range. But I'll say in judgment on Chapter 1, and again, see the origin point of Ad Infinitum and look at where they are now, yes, there is, of course, I would say some fine-tuning. I see elements of that. I really saw that with Chapter 2. There was a lot of variation there and explosion and new ideas. And with Chapter 3, I see that as well manifesting. I'll come back to the characterization of this piece in a minute. But for me, the journey has been consistent on quality and feeling of consistency in envisioning of craft. That's my personal opinion on this group. That, again, from the beginning, at least my impression of them is they've known exactly who they were, and they've materialized that vision, in my opinion, beautifully. The Serpent's downfall, as always, speaks to their credits. It's exquisite. They've never done something around, at least for me, with a swing beat. Like, that was really nice to listen to. It reminds me of a recent listen. I haven't heard too many rock songs, at least in my mind, of a swing beat. Maybe some, yes. But if you're a fan of some American groups as well in the metal scene, maybe some of you remember this group I spotlighted a little while ago, Demon Hunter. Big favorite of mine. Very dominant in the Christian metal scene. They've been around for like 2 decades or a little over that. I've been a fan of theirs for 12 years. Their recent album, Exile, if you bought the deluxe edition, has the latest track, the title track, in fact. Exile features a bit of a swing beat to it. And it's quite good. I like it. There's a lot of beautiful character to that piece, and I would recommend listening to it if you haven't. Yes, it's a $40 purchase, but take it from me, it's good. It's worth your money. Anyway, the mainstream album is, of course, but if you want those 2 bonus tracks, Sleepwalker and Exile, that's the way to enjoy them. Just in my opinion. Anywho, this piece, I love the structure to it. The pacing was great, especially since that swing beat was consistent all the way through. Fun vocals, great energy on Melissa's part. Again, I love the uneven pacing too on, I think it was the growl. Where was that? On the bridge. I love the pacing there. Again, it's funny how many tracks for me at least evoke off of Chapter 2 like an Animals aesthetic. Because there's an uneven pacing there too on the screaming verse, and it's a bit of an intrusion. Although there's more of a presence overlapping these choruses, specifically on the Serpent's Downfall. I also love on the first iteration of that chorus how that it's off on pacing. It was a really nice deviation point of expectation, in my opinion. It's really fun to me. I love this song. I like the mixture of vision too. Again, very capable writing on their part. But like at one point, where was it? The pre-chorus, the second iteration. Yeah, remember there's a dying sun you can ignite inside. So it's such an inspirational line. And to some degree, the chorus follows that way to save your tears and rise again. Your fears now an echo of the one you once were. The serpent's well, I guess it's generally a hopeful vision, but you think of like the serpent's downfall, and it sounds like we're taking like the downward path here. But yet it's ironic in that respect because it is such an uplifting song, at least in feeling. Like, in goodness we trust, now we thrive. Don't you let go. The darkness is gone. What are you waiting for? It's a pretty transformational song. And even pieces along the conceptual line, I mean, it's maybe, again, evoking an Egyptian-type mood, right? And sensibility in its illustration. But conceptual visions often, especially in the rock scene today, I mean, I've consulted many groups on this channel that have gone down this path. There's usually an evoking of a real-world sentiment or an emotional feeling. So sometimes you'll find a song that is mapped according to maybe a certain lore or vision, right, that paints a picture, but you can draw out real experiences and feelings and sentiments that are life-transforming. A song like this, perhaps, again, like I said, is mapped according to, and it's a consistent parallel in the conceptual scene. There's that mapping to the Egyptian storytelling that Ad Infinitum is envisioning with the pieces, though, again, like I said, maybe on subsequent listens, and feedback from you as well, because, again, I'm digging way back into my elementary school days and trying to pry out the Egyptian understanding to these pieces in application. And maybe on subsequent listens it works better as an effect, because you get to spend more time with it. But you take that mood, right, that sensibility of such a hopeful vision, and you're able to extract that so it feels personally relevant in a way that is hyper-realistic and kind of departs from the conceptual vision, but is still faithful from the manifestation of it. And the pleasant intrusion of that element. I like the Serpent's Downfall. Again, like I said, good engaging piece. High caliber offerings from Ad Infinitum as always. I love that swing beat personality. It is very independent from what I've heard from them. What are your guys' thoughts of that particular entry? And I'd love to hear from both perspectives, whether you happen to be a longtime offender. I'm sure that'll be the case for a number of you. And for those of you that maybe this is the first engaging listen. Again, you take it from me, consult the remainder of their works. You will thank me from their entire body. I promise you. Let me know what your thoughts are down below if you wish to disclose your perspective. And again, like I've said, the evolution of Chapter 3 in full thus far has been an absolute treat. And we're going to continue. We've got a couple more tracks to consult. We're nearing the end, at least in consideration. And I know, as I've said before, again, I'm covering these out of order a bit because Eternal Reigns debuts its video tomorrow, so I'm waiting on that one. And I'm covering what we have available right now. New Dawn is next. We're definitely on the end of this album, we're going up the hopeful line, I think, in its storytelling. I'm excited, though. Let's continue the party going forward in the future. But the Serpent's Downfall, at least in consideration to this piece, wonderful engagement and another fabulous addition to Chapter 3. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again.